Hi, welcome to the HTM Collective, and my name is Doreen McCafferty, and I'm so happy to be part of this group of hair tissue mineral analysis practitioners that are here to share a lot of information with you about hair tissue mineral analysis. My business is called Holistic Wellness from Within, and you can find me easily on the website www.holisticlifestyleconsulting.com, and I will put that in the chat, by the way. I put my Instagram in there already. It is Mineral Balancing Practitioner, all put together, no spaces between it. And if you follow me, I do post there fairly regularly. Also, the links to my websites and my articles and everything are in my bio, so you can find that really easily. So if you have any questions after this is over, please let me know. So today, what I want to do is start off by just sharing basically a little bit of my background and then my story of what really got me into mineral balancing and why. So my background was in fitness. I became a fitness instructor. I started off as a aerobic instructor years and years and years ago. And through many years of working in that field, I kept getting certified to teach more and more modalities. I taught everything from step aerobics to rebounding, and eventually became Pilates certified, reformer Pilates, also yoga, cycle, just about everything you can imagine. So I was just teaching a lot of fitness classes, went on to also become a personal trainer. Now, during that time, I had to get CECs to keep my certification. So I would go to these big conferences in New York City and big hotels and ballrooms, and they were so much fun. And you would get to go to all these different workshops. One of the workshops I went to one year was how to flatten your abs, and everybody wanted to know that. And the workshop happened to be given by a man named Paul Chek, Chek. And I really need to emphasize that because hair mineral analysis and analytical research laboratories that I work with was founded by Paul Eck, ECK. So it can be a little confusing. Two Pauls and very close to similar last names. But Paul Chek had founded a company that certified people to become nutrition and lifestyle coaches. But what really caught me was when I went into this seminar, it was not ab exercises. It was all about diet and all this stuff that I didn't expect. A lot of people actually got upset, and some people walked out because they didn't like it. They wanted him to give them some kind of special secret exercise. But the stuff he said to me was fascinating. It was so fascinating and out of the box that I was mesmerized. And the first thing I did when I got back, it was probably the only workshop I remembered attending because it was so powerful. So I got in touch with the Institute and I went there to become certified by Paul Chek himself. And this was long, this was 20 years ago. It's in 2005. It was amazing. So that was the beginning of my journey. During that time that I got certified by him, he talked about hair tissue mineral analysis. Now, he didn't use it as a primary tool. We got a whole bunch of protocol, how to work with people, and I used that protocol for a long time. But upon working with the client who was having a whole ton of issues, I got into the toolbox that he has shared with us, and one of them was doing HTMA. So I did an HTMA test on her, and it turned out to be the real key to getting to the root cause of problems. And she even said to me, I don't think you should try to save people money by just like showing them these things later on. I really think I think I blinked out there. I really think you need to actually really get into showing people this hair tissue or mineral analysis from the beginning. And so then I started to do a lot of research, but I was still full-time in fitness and dabbling in the health and nutrition part of it, the nutrition lifestyle coaching. So during this time, I went to an integrative functional doctor who had tested my blood and told me that my thyroid wasn't working, that I wasn't converting T3 to T4, and he wanted to put me on natural thyroid hormone called Armour Thyroid, which many of you have probably heard about. So I went down that road. I thought it was all natural and it was really great. And in my mind, what I thought was happening was that we were healing my thyroid, and I was eventually going to come off this medication, and voila, my thyroid would work, because that's what I had in my head. But we didn't talk about that, and he never communicated to me how how he saw my path. So I went there for a couple years, and just a couple times a year get it tested. But every time I went in, he would increase my armor thyroid. So I went in one time and I said, I'm concerned about taking more Armour thyroid. And I'm concerned about taking it at all, to be frank. Like, I'm not sure what this path looks like. And he said to me, well, as you age, your thyroid's not going to work as well. That's just kind of like the way it's going to be. And so I'm going to continue to probably increase the medication, and it is natural, and you just don't need to worry about it. And when I left, I guess I was just really alarmed. Like, I had thought I was on this path to healing. I had thought that I was going to actually have my thyroid start to work, and I wasn't going to need the medication anymore. And then I found out, whoa, this isn't really the road he has me on. So it took me into rabbit holes because I am a forever student. So when I hear about something and I hear about something now, I just couldn't accept that. I mean, if that was really the only way there was for me to live and be healthy, I would have maybe eventually accepted it, but not initially hearing it. So I started going down big, gigantic rabbit holes, and I started finding a lot of information out about thyroid health. So what was really enlightening to me was I found a doctor who had written about thyroid medication, including Armour Thyroid, the natural medicine. And he was saying that when you put thyroid medication into your body, your thyroid, whether it's synthetic or not, the medication, the thyroid's going to stop working. It's going to slow down because it's sensing that that hormone that it's supposed to increase is now already there. So why would it create more? So I started thinking about it. I was like, wow, I've been doing this now for close to 2 years. Every time I go in, I need more medication. My thyroid seems to be slowing down. And is my thyroid slowing down because I'm medicating it? So I was really alarmed. And the truth is, I love the doctor I went to. I feel like he was doing what he was trained to do. He was a great man, but this was not for me. And so I never went back. I ended up I ended up going into hair tissue mineral analysis. I got certified to do hair tissue mineral analysis as a practitioner, and I decided that I was going to go down that road. And just like the client that I had worked with at the beginning when I was just dabbling in all of this, I was going to use that as my main source, my main tool in my toolbox. So I didn't stray from all of what Paul Chek taught me. He taught me great things, and I will forever be in debt to that man. I think he is the most intelligent and educated man in this field that I had ever met. But I had, I just wanted to go a little bit of a different direction, and not just use hair tissue mineral analysis as something to bring in when I couldn't get answers through doing other modalities that he had taught me to use, because they were based a lot upon people answering questions and telling you what they were experiencing. And I still find this to be true, that what we think sometimes in our heads we're experiencing, what we think we need, sometimes like we crave sugar because we're eating sugar doesn't mean that is good for us. So those kind of answers are sometimes skewed by our lifestyle, the way we've been living, whatever. And it takes a while to get through all the layers of that, of the things that are influencing the answers that we give. And that was happening with the protocol I was using. But when I added the hair analysis, when I started with the hair analysis, what I found was I could see what was going on in the person's body. And wow, now I discovered that not only could I see that, but it was not at all related to what was going on in the blood many times. I was being told that my blood showed that I needed more medication and my thyroid wasn't working. And trust me, I saw those blood tests. But when I got my first hair analysis test back, I was hyperthyroid. I was in hyperthyroidism. So what had happened is this medication had wired me and sped me up. And trust me, I'm going to tell you the way I felt when I was on the medication and working with that doctor. I felt wired and tired. I felt a little bit like I imagine you feel when you're on speed. I was buzzing around. I had tons of energy. I mean, I felt great. The medication made me feel good, but it did not feel natural to me. It didn't feel like it was my energy. And intuitively, I felt like this isn't right. There's something wrong. This energy isn't being produced by my body, and I don't know if it's healthy. So I looked into what I was going to need to do, and I saw that minerals could be used to stimulate the thyroid. But now imagine I've been on medication for 2 years, close to 2 years. So I decide I'm going to wean myself off of it. And I'm working with the doctor and I'm becoming a practitioner. All that stuff is happening kind of at the same time. And I'm starting to work with clients, but very slowly. I'm first working on myself. So I decide that, I start weaning myself off the medication. And eventually one day, honestly, this is probably not the way to do it. I'm just going to be frank, but I completely stopped taking it. And I knew that I was going to crash. I knew that without the medication, I was just going to crash. But I felt like I was going to then allow my thyroid repair to become, to repair, that I was going to get to take the minerals that my thyroid needed so it could actually function. So I began taking minerals and I was taking Endomet Thyro Complex. That's what I was taking at the time back those many years ago, 20 some years ago, right? Little less than 20 years ago by the time I got through this part of my journey. But anyway, it was a very long time ago. So I was taking Thyro Complex and it was suggested to me by the doctor I was working with, I might want to take as many as 4 of those 3 times a day. So I was actually taking 12 thyroid complexes a day to really stimulate my thyroid. Now, I didn't do that with all my clients who had thyroid issues because we're all individuals and some people respond very quickly to supplements or they're sensitive to them, but it really seemed to help me. Now, I had crashed and I was very, very tired. And that tiredness and fatigue took a long time to correct itself. This is not something that's an easy fix, but it certainly depends on what your goal is. Do you want your thyroid to actually work, or do you want to take the medication that actually shuts down your thyroid doesn't work? Because to me, when I start to shut down my thyroid, eventually other organs, other systems of my body aren't going to work correctly. And let me just I didn't even get into this yet, but let me just talk a little bit about thyroid medication, natural or not. You don't know how much thyroid medication you really need, or when you need it, or in what amounts. You're given thyroid medication to take. I was once a day in the morning. I just bombarded my body with this medication. Is that really how the thyroid works? Does it just one time a day spit out the thyroid hormone that you need? Or is it something that is produced differently on different days, depending on your needs, on your stress levels, on everything going on in your life, because our body does work that way. So I also decided that the medication could never be properly given in the right amount. It couldn't be properly administered. We could never know exactly what I needed or what I needed on any given day. It was another reason I just wanted to get away from it. I really wanted my body to work correctly. And through years of using the thyroid complex quite a bit of it, eventually getting that down to what would be a normal amount, I was able to really start to feel better and fix my thyroid. Now, to this day, I don't really rely a lot on blood tests to look at a thyroid because blood tests are showing what's in your blood at that moment, right? And I'm not saying never to have your blood tested to check your thyroid, but you're getting a snapshot at the cellular levels, what hair analysis is showing us. Yeah, deep, right? It's at the cellular level. And that's what's really important. What's happening in the cells? What's happening at the cellular level? So that is really what helped me understand what I needed to heal and to get to that place where my thyroid started working. Now, once your thyroid is starting to work as well, and you're following a program where you're getting more rest, more sleep. I could get into a whole video on sleep because I literally, when I went into Paul Chek's seminar, I was going to bed at about 2 in the morning and getting up at 4 or 5. And I felt great. And I thought that was okay. Now remember, I ended up on thyroid medication and also getting very wired. But the point is, I had learned to get by on little sleep. And at that point in my life, when I was younger, it hadn't caught up with me. So I really felt pretty good. And I remember before I went into the actual seminar, this was not when I went for my full training. It was when I went to the workshop. But I was sitting at a table with somebody who had been to many of his workshops, and I said something, sleep came up, and I said something about, I don't need sleep. And she just looked at me and said, well, I think you do. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure that's not what I'm going to find out. I was really, really convinced that was true. And when I went into my full certification and found out how much sleep we needed, and when I got introduced to all the wonderful doctors out there, every single one of them, from Dr. Mercola to all of them, all of these practitioners and doctors that work in this field, and the doctor I was working with hair tissue mineral analysis, they all stressed that we need sleep. So it was a big eye opener. It was a whole path I had never gone down. Now, because I am a very type A person, man, when I hit the road, I hit it running. After I left that workshop with Paul, I went home and I emptied my cabinets and my whole diet changed, and I started eating farm foods, and I wasn't afraid of fat. All the things that I learned that were healthy, I started implementing them right away. And again, then I went through his full certification, and then I eventually became certified as a HTMA practitioner. So that's my big story of how I healed my thyroid with minerals. And I really feel like it can be done for most people. Now, with that being said, I have clients on thyroid medication. I have some that don't want to come off of it. And I have some that have had their thyroid removed, in which case you have to be on thyroid medication. You have no thyroid to function or to correct or to fix. So, of course, we want to try to avoid that. But I do have those scenarios. And I have had people say, I'm willing to do mineral balancing, maybe even reduce some of my medication, but I don't want to stop taking it. And that is always between you and your doctor. As a practitioner, I don't step in front of you and your doctor, whatever you're working with. I give you a recommendation. I ask you to sometimes suggest that recommendation to a doctor. And if you're working with a doctor who's closed-minded, maybe you want to find a new doctor. But again, this is your journey. So I'm sharing with you how I went through my journey. What I've learned, not only in fixing my thyroid, but my adrenals, especially years following that process, is that what works for one of us doesn't always work for another. It was a big learning lesson for me to understand that my journey, even my thyroid journey that I want to share with you and help you as well on your journey, it may not look like mine. And I think that we make a big mistake as practitioners when we try really hard to take the things that work for us and apply them to everybody in our client, all of our clients, in the exact same way. This is how it works. It's not always true. There is so much individuality between us that some of the things that are working for me are not going to work for you, and vice versa. I listen to my clients as much as I make recommendations, because what you're telling me intuitively and what you know works for you and what doesn't work for you is so important in how I'm going to provide you with a program, and how I'm going to recommend your supplements, and how often I'm going to recommend you take them, or how many of them you take, because we're all different. So I want you to keep that in mind moving forward. I'm not telling you that you're going to be taking 12 thyroid complexes a day. There's other options out there too that we're using now. So there's so many things to look at. I'm just sharing with you what my journey looked like. I have clients who only take supplements once a day. For most people, that's not enough, but for some it is. I have some that do twice a day. I have some that do some of the supplements and can't do all of them, or have to gradually start on all the supplements. So this is all part of your journey. It is not up to me to give you my journey and give it to you as if it's going to work for you the way it worked for me. But there are always lessons to learn from your journey. So my personal journey has certainly helped me help others. And even now that I've been doing this for 20 years, it's going on 20 years. It's unbelievable, but I've been doing this for close to 20 years. I find that I rely so much on what I've seen happen in my client's life. I've now got tons of information in my head about what helped clients. This helped one client, this helped another. These are all tools that are part of my arsenal. When I started, I had a bucket that was filled with information from Paul Chek, and trust me, he filled it very full. But over the 20 years of working, I have learned, not just from my own personal experience, but from the experience of working with so many clients, what works and what may help you. So I'd love to work with you. I'd love to do HTMA with you if you're interested. You don't have to have adrenal or thyroid issues, although most people do. But I would really love to work with you and help you balance your body. We all know there's many benefits to HTMA, but that is the route I wanted to talk to you about on this particular video. I could get into detoxing and all the rest as well, but I do thank you for listening. Again, I would love to have you go to my website, holisticlifestyleconsulting.com. Follow me on Instagram, Mineral Balancing Practitioner. That's it, at Instagram. It's the only Instagram account I have, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks so much for watching and for being a part of the HTM Collective, and have a great day.